It's finally that time of year, gentlemen. My official 2024-2025 NFL tier list. We will definitely come back to this when the season's over. Let's waste no time. Starting with our Super Bowl favorites. San Francisco 49ers, Detroit Lions, Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs. Is this completely cop-out? Yes, technically, but I also believe it, so I'm not just gonna throw a random team in here just for the clickbait, okay? I don't need the engagement that badly. Here's why I believe these four teams will truly repeat what they did last year, except hopefully Detroit is actually in the Super Bowl. San Francisco 49ers is pretty self-explanatory. This is the first team in NFL history who is favored in every single regular season matchup. Literally, they are a Vegas favorite in every regular season game. I don't think they're going to go 17-0, but it is absurd how much talent and faith people must have in you to be a favorite in every single game. They damn near won the Super Bowl. They retained everybody except for Chase Young, and Chase Young was not that good. He was not what we thought he would be. San Fran's an insanely good team. I would say they'll be back in the Super Bowl, but they got to get past Detroit. I am delusional. Yes, I am delusional. Well, I guess I'll talk about Detroit then. Yes, I'm biased. I know there's a Barry Sanders poster right there, but Detroit retained the entire core of their team. We came this close to going to the Super Bowl, and I'm a biased, delusional fan, and I 100% believe we're going to the Super Bowl. That is my reasoning on the Detroit Lions. Now, Baltimore and KC. KC won the Super Bowl, and they only got better. I have to put them here. I know it's not fun to like the Kansas City Chiefs. They're too damn good. They're the New England Patriots. But the weakest point, the biggest critique of this Kansas City Chiefs team was the wide receiver room. Kadarius Toney's playing like shit. Everybody else is a bum. It was not a good locker room. You add Hollywood Brown, who is a good wide receiver one. I'm not going to blow it out of proportion, but he's a good wide receiver one. And you draft Xavier Worthy. They made their wide receivers way better. They retain everybody else. They've got their big three back. You had to put this team up here. Now, Baltimore Ravens. I think the Baltimore Ravens consistently underperform in the playoffs, and it's sad to watch, but it's not to the degree of like the Dallas Cowboys. This is a crazy good team. They've got MVP Lamar on the squad. You just added Derrick Henry, a generational running back, and they're the best run team in the league. So long as they don't forget to run the ball in the playoffs, I think they'll go right back to where they were last year, if not further. And frankly, my dream Super Bowl matchup is Baltimore Ravens versus Detroit Lions. I would love to see us run this shit back, except the Chiefs lose and the Niners lose. I would love that. All right, let's move into Super Bowl contenders. The first four that come to mind: Cincinnati Bengals, Buffalo Bills, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Houston Texans. Let's talk about each of these teams. Cincinnati Bengals are an excellent team, even without Joe Burrow sometimes. Like, Jake Browning was back there looking pretty solid. Joe Burrow's your franchise guy. You got to assume he's going to be healthy the entire season, because if you don't assume that, then tier lists are literally pointless. You can't make a tier list assuming dudes are going to be injured. That's just stupid. Joe Burrow should be healthy and on track for a great regular season, and when he is, this Bengals team is Super Bowl contenders. Buffalo Bills are probably the shakiest team in the Super Bowl contenders list. I almost could put them down at playoff team, but the Buffalo Bills do have good playoff experience. You've still got Josh Allen. You lost a good amount of stuff, though. You really did. I mean, you lost Diggs. You lost a lot of your defense to free agency. This is a shaky Super Bowl contender, but I still maybe delusionally have faith in the Buffalo Bills. Texans outperformed like crazy last season. One of the best rookie quarterback seasons ever, and they got Diggs. They re-signed Nico Collins to a big deal. They retained their core, still have a lot of young developing players on defense. The Texans are nasty. I don't think they beat any of these four teams head-to-head. I don't think they beat the Niners, Chiefs, Ravens, or Lions head-to-head. And frankly, I think they lose to the Eagles or Bengals too. Maybe they beat the Bills, but I do believe that they could pull it off and be Super Bowl contenders. Now, everybody loves to hype up the Philadelphia Eagles offseason. It was a great offseason, but don't forget that you lost Jason Kelce and Brandon Graham to retirement. So they still signed some amazing players, and I think the Saquon Barkley signing might have been the best free agent signing. Like, better than Derrick Henry. I think Saquon fits in Philly so well. But dude, that playoff game this year against the Buccaneers was pitiful. They really had no business losing that game with the amount of talent they had, and I'm shocked that they did. So that's why I can't put them any higher than this. Let's move into playoff teams. Let's start with the Miami Dolphins. Do I think the Miami Dolphins are going to make the playoffs? Absolutely. But I think too much of this team's late playoff success is anchored in Tua Tagovailoa. You're paying Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle so much money. Two of the top 5 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL are on the same team. They're both in Miami. And frankly, that's shocking to me because it's so important for Tua to play well for them to even have an opportunity that I just don't see how this is the right call. I don't think it was the best use of money. I think head-to-head in a playoff matchup against any of these 8 teams, I think Miami's probably the underdog. Could they beat any of these teams? Sure, on any given day, but I don't think they're the favorite. They're accurately a playoff team right now. I think they are missing that next level quarterback play to push them up to these 8. And frankly, like, what do these 8 teams have in common? They have a franchise quarterback. Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, Jared Goff, Josh Allen. It ain't rocket science, but it's a QB league, and I'm not sold on Tua. So I'm going to give them playoff team. I think they'll make it. I don't know about after that. Next team I'll put in here is the Green Bay Packers. This is a different one, though. Green Bay, especially in that game against Dallas, blew my mind how good Jordan Love can be, and they damn near beat the Niners. I think it's a really, really exciting year for the Green Bay Packers, but I'm also not sold on the Jordan Love magic because at the end of that Niners game, in the most crucial moment of the game, he threw such a bad pass. Like, such a questionable, why are you throwing the ball interception? So I think they're just a little bit short of the Super Bowl contenders, but I think Green Bay is probably my favorite team in the playoff teams tier. And if there was anybody I was going to bump up to Super Bowl contenders, it'd be Green Bay. So I'm going to throw them at the start of this. I think they're nasty. They almost could swap with Buffalo, but I'm not going to do it right now. Maybe I'm just a hater because they're my rivals in the NFC North, but let's go Atlanta Falcons next. This is probably the team I am most excited to watch in the 2024-2025 season. Atlanta has suffered from some of the worst quarterback play. They have every piece imaginable on paper, right? Arthur Smith, I think he was dog shit. I'm glad he's out. The quarterbacks played like shit. It was like, no matter who they put in there, I think they were switching out Ritter and Mariota. What are we doing? Now you got Kirk Cousins. I'm not gonna blow smoke like Kirk Cousins is a god, but Kirk Cousins is a very good quarterback, and he's a hell of a lot better than what they had last time. Now, supposedly, they're actually gonna utilize their weapons, like Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and if I'm remembering correctly, they also got Darnell Mooney, right? Regardless, I think Atlanta's absolutely going to the playoffs. How far they can go on Kirk Cousins' first year, I don't know. You know what this kind of reminds me of in a really small sense? Was Matt Stafford's first year with the Rams. The Rams had all these pieces, but Jared Goff was kind of playing like shit. They just wanted some guy to come in and just instantly give them some success. That's exactly what Stafford did, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. I don't see that with this team. I also think that Stafford Rams team got a little lucky. Like, that was not the most impressive Super Bowl run to me, but I'm being a hater for no reason on the Rams. And as I say that, actually, they're my other playoff team. Let's not forget that the Rams won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I was talking shit about their Super Bowl win, but they're still Super Bowl winners recently. The team doesn't look the exact same as it looked back then, and they sold out pretty hard for that Super Bowl. But they still have a really good roster right now, and they obviously have 2 breakout stars, Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua. And I love the draft pick of Blake Corum. Sean McVay loves having multiple running backs. Blake Corum is a stud. I think the Rams will have a very similar season to what they had this season. I think they make the playoffs. I don't think they go very deep. They just sold out a little bit too hard for that Super Bowl, and it's hard for them to have that stacked of a roster right now, and that's what they would need to go any further. All right, I got 2 more teams for playoff teams bracket. That's the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets. Now, Dallas Cowboys, I might get some shit for this, that's fine. At the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys are an insanely good regular season team. I think harder than anybody, they choke in the playoffs. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a culture of like, wow, we always suck in the playoffs, so it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, or I really don't know. But this team is crazy good. They have so many superstar elite players that, like, CeeDee Lamb is insanely good. He is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL to me. Micah Parsons is a top 2 defensive player in the NFL to me. You can debate a wall, but you're not taking Micah Parsons out of the top 5. It does not matter who you're talking about or what positions you're talking about. Micah Parsons is a top 5 defensive player. CeeDee Lamb is a top 5 wide receiver. The team is stacked at multiple positions, and Dak Prescott in the regular season is a very good quarterback. Every single year, Dak is a top 5 MVP candidate. And then we get to the playoffs, plays like shit. I'm not arguing with that, but this team will make the playoffs. This is a great team. They got to get over the playoff hump. It's kind of like the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics kept going to the playoffs and just shitting the bed. Same with the Sixers. But the Celtics now just got their ring, you know? And then New York Jets. The New York Jets are just like the Atlanta Falcons. They are fully poised and ready to go and ready to be a playoff team. They've just had shit quarterback play. Too bad they couldn't have had it this season. That injury was really unfortunate, but you've got a healthy Aaron Rodgers, 3 times MVP coming back. And once again, it's a tier list, so we have to assume that everyone stays healthy. Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, this team goes to the playoffs. They're so good, minus the quarterback play. Potential Wild cards. I'm gonna start with maybe a controversial one. Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams will continue to be probably one of the most controversial players in the NFL just because he's kind of flamboyant, and the NFL, like, historically, and the fan base isn't exactly open to things like that. So when Caleb Williams walks in with pink glitter nails and bad bitch throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns on your NFL franchise, people are gonna be fucking pissed. And he's gonna go in that interview and say the most sus shit you've ever heard, and then he's gonna take the girliest selfie with Odunze, and then everyone's gonna be up in fucking arms. But Chicago loaded up for Caleb Williams. They got one of the best quarterback prospects in the last 5-10 years. You don't gotta like Caleb Williams, okay? If you take away all the stuff that people don't like about Caleb Williams, he's fucking insane. He's so good as a quarterback, and he reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers. And just for the record, by the way, I love Caleb Williams. I don't think he has any antics. I think the media just loves to piss people off because that's how they get their clicks. This isn't news to anybody, but anytime Caleb Williams does anything, get ready for it to be flooded on fucking Instagram. Whatever. I think the Bears are very much a potential wild card, but I can't put this much faith in a rookie quarterback, and I can't throw him in playoff teams, but I really like their odds of being a wild card. Next up is the Chargers. It would be really tough to be a Chargers fan, man. It really would. This team underperforms in the regular season. Like the Cowboys underperform in the playoffs. The Chargers are the regular season equivalent of that. You have the franchise quarterback. That's kind of the anomaly with the Chargers. You look at the top 8 teams, they have franchise quarterbacks. The Chargers have that in Justin Herbert, but they just can't get over the hump. They will lose so many close regular season games, and those will stack up to the point where they don't make the playoffs. Like they'll lose by consistently by 3, or because of horrible coaching, or because of random shit, they won't make it. So I love the Chargers with Harbaugh way more than with Staley. Staley should have been fired, bro. That guy sucked. So I'm really excited for Harbaugh, but I don't think Harbaugh's gonna come in and just flip the fucking program and go straight to the playoffs. I think they got a shot at it. I don't know if they can see success that immediately. I think a team that's actually kind of similar to the Chargers right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and let me explain. Everybody knows Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are always gonna go 9-8, or maybe a little bit better, but Mike Tomlin loves his positive record. Steelers have an amazing defense and an amazing coach. That is a gigantic part of football that doesn't even consider the quarterback. And there have been many NFL franchises who've been really, really successful with just a good coach and a good defense, and then you add a good quarterback to that, all of a sudden you're a very elite team. The problem is I don't know how to feel about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I just don't. Now, do I think that they are objectively better than Kenny Pickett? Yes. I think if Kenny Pickett was still QB1, I'm putting the Steelers in missing playoffs or mediocre at best. I would put them there. But I do have faith that Russell Wilson still has the shell of an incredible quarterback there, and I do think that Justin Fields could become an incredible quarterback. So I want to give some faith to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't like their head-to-head odds against any of these teams above them, so I think they deserve to be in potential wild cards. Next up, I'm going to put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in potential wild cards. This is a team I will get flack on because it would be very easy to just put the Buccaneers back in playoff teams since they made the playoffs this year. They got past the wild card round, and they re-signed a lot of core guys. You got Baker back, you got Mike Evans back, you got Antoine Winfield, I think, on franchise tag. But why I'm not sold on the Buccaneers this season is you lost some huge pieces of that team, and the 3 I'm thinking of is Shaq Barrett, Devin White, Carlton Davis. I'm already not that sold on Tampa Bay. I think they outperformed this season, and I think if they have a more average season, like if they regress to the mean, I think they're a potential wild card, or maybe not the wild card. Not to mention they have a relatively difficult schedule coming up. I don't have any better reasoning on the Buccaneers other than I am slightly a hater. I just don't think that they can repeat what they did last season. All right, other potential wild cards would be Browns, Jags, and Colts, and I think those are the last teams I'm gonna put here. Now, I think if the Cleveland Browns could somehow resurrect Houston Texans Deshaun and not post-massage Deshaun, they would be a playoff team. They would be up here, but I don't know. I've seen such inconsistent play from Deshaun Watson, but they still have so many good players on this team. There is no excuse for the Browns to not be a wild card if they get a full season out of Deshaun. They had a pretty good excuse last season, and even then, Joe Flacco played pretty damn well. But like Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Amari Cooper, this team is fucking stacked. And you have Deshaun Watson, who's supposed to be a very good quarterback. That just remains to be seen. There's too much up in the air to put them any higher than potential wild card, but they should be there. Jacksonville Jaguars are kind of in the same boat. I think Trevor Lawrence has not lived up to as good as he should have been this point. I will say it, that first year with Urban Meyer, I will cut you slack for that. That was so bad. Holy shit, Urban Meyer. I do not know how Urban Meyer is a desk host on ESPN. Regardless, Trevor Lawrence has underperformed, and so have the Jacksonville Jaguars a little bit. I see them as a potential wild wild card, but I have yet to see what we've expected. So they're staying here. And then honestly, it's the opposite for the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Indianapolis Colts were about to be really good, and then Anthony Richardson got hurt. I'm super excited to see a full Anthony Richardson season. I think he's going to be really solid, but without seeing enough, I can't put him any higher than this. I think they're a potential wild card, but I have a much more positive outlook on the Indianapolis Colts than I do on the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. I don't know how I would rank these teams amongst themselves, but I think they're all potential wild cards. All right, now who is missing the playoffs? Saints, Seahawks, Vikings, Raiders. New Orleans Saints' problem is very simple, and that is quarterback play. It is so tough to watch. There's a lot of players on the Saints roster that I really like. Probably my favorite's Chris Olave. I love him, and I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel bad for him. Seattle Seahawks are in that same kind of transition period. I have a strong feeling that the Seattle Seahawks in the upcoming NFL draft, so the 2025 NFL draft, I think they're taking a quarterback. There should be some solid quarterbacks coming out of that draft. It's way too far out to say who they'd take, but I think that they know that too. I think they're just sitting. They're going to have an okay season. They're going to draft a good quarterback and hope that they can rebuild from there. That's my opinion on the Seattle Seahawks. And I don't think their team is ready for playoff football right now. Minnesota Vikings. Okay, straight up, I'm a hater. I'm just a fucking hater, but I am not sold on JJ McCarthy. I like JJ McCarthy. There's too much credit being put into the fact that he won a national championship, because in reality, that Michigan team won a national championship. If JJ McCarthy was out there gunslinging like a god, maybe I'd credit him, but throughout the entire college football season, I felt like JJ McCarthy was a pretty solid quarterback, but that Michigan team was spectacular. So I don't think that is the right quarterback for them. I guess we'll see, but I don't see them making the playoffs with a rookie JJ McCarthy right now. Now listen, I'm not gonna talk shit on my boy Aiden O'Connell, because I got to play a game of Madden with Aiden O'Connell, and he was a good dude. Not only that, but Aiden O'Connell and his Purdue Boilermakers, I got to watch from Purdue as he whooped our ass. We got our shit handed to us by Aiden O'Connell and the Boilermakers. He threw like 500 yards. That being said, the Raiders are the Raiders, and Aiden O'Connell, I'm sorry, man. I don't see you taking him to the playoffs. I'd love to be proven wrong. All right, I just prematurely finished this tier list. I might switch this, but let me just talk myself through this. Mediocre at best. I actually kind of like the Arizona Cardinals this year. Do I think that they're like close to making the playoffs? Probably not. But I love Kyler. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I've been saying that for probably way too long, and I need to give up on the delusion. But I still have faith in Kyler. I still have faith in Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm excited for the Cardinals to potentially have a really solid season. Actually, no, I'm fucking with this. They're going up to missing playoffs. I think they will be close to being a playoff team. I'm doing it. I am higher on the Arizona Cardinals than any of these teams down here, but let's talk about these teams. Also, sorry, Denver, but I have you way too high. I completely forgot that you don't have a quarterback. You have Bo Nix. I'm putting you in #1 pick contention. Mediocre at best, I'm putting the Giants and the Titans. I'm kind of excited to see a full season of Will Levis, but the Titans just lost like the fucking heart and soul of their team in Derrick Henry, and they already were not a very good roster, and now Will Levis is like full-time starter, right? Now let me actually look up their depth chart. I'm not certain who they have listed as the starting quarterback. They do have Will Levis. They actually have Malik Willis at 3rd. They have Mason Rudolph listed above Malik Willis. Regardless, I'm excited to see a full Will Levis season. I just don't have a lot of faith. Same with the Giants, dude. I just can't get behind Daniel Jones. I don't think that's the right call for that organization, and I don't think he can lead them to success. I just don't. All right, young but intriguing. This is basically a nice way of saying your team's gonna fucking suck, but at least we believe that you're probably getting better. Washington Commanders, New England Patriots are both gonna be trash this season. I'm very confident in saying that, but you've got Jaden Daniels and Drake May, and both of them have a very high ceiling. So I hope they figure it out. This is basically a rebuilding year for you guys. Best of luck. And then #1 pick contention. I do think that this is so fucking funny that these two teams are down here, because this was the 2015 Super Bowl, right? Or 2016? Cam Newton versus Peyton Manning. But yes, the #1 pick contention is the 2015 or 16 Super Bowl. Panthers are shit, and they lost Brian Burns. Broncos starting quarterback is Bo Nix, and they were already pretty shit. Final verdict, gentlemen! This is the final 2024-2025 NFL tier list. Super Bowl favorites: Niners, Chiefs, Ravens, Lions. Contenders are Bengals, Eagles, Texans, Bills. Playoff teams: Packers, Dolphins, Falcons, Rams, Cowboys, and Jets. Potential wild cards are the Bills, Colts, Chargers, Steelers, Bucks, Browns, Jags. Just missing the playoffs are the Saints, Seahawks, Vikings, Raiders, and Cardinals. Mediocre at best are the Giants and Titans. Young but intriguing are the Commanders and Patriots. And the Panthers and Broncos will be fighting for that #1 pick. All right, boys. I love you. I hope you enjoyed. Just remember that if you disagree with anything, you're wrong. And I love you. Have a great day.